All right.
Perfect.
Yay.
What's up, everybody? We are live for a ZABAL Games brainstorm here with Nounish Prof. Prof, how we doing today?
Awesome. It's been a busy day and I'm excited to like end this day with you. This is great.
I know I still have to catch up with my last bit of GM Farcaster from this morning. It was a little
It was
long.
really long. So the last hour and 15 minutes, like the whole thing was 2 hours and 15 minutes. The last hour and 15 minutes is us talking with TLDR, Tim Riley, about the Odyssey, and literally our episode was almost as long as the Odyssey movie.
That's funny.
So
Yeah, no,
like
I
crazy.
love it. It's pretty cool because we always say it's like it's not that busy on Farcaster right now, but there's always something fun to talk about, many things to
So
talk
much.
about. Or you could talk about for hours, and I'm sure you could have some side shows that are part of the GM Farcaster network that I'm
Absolutely.
sure as we kind of grow here in this near future that we'll kind of be seeing. I mean, we've seen the GM Farcaster Media Network pop up over the last year, and I think that's really cool. Things like batches, and then me being able to put my conversation
Yeah.
with Adrian as well. I think it's
We
been
can
really
we can
cool.
throw this on there as well if you want. We're happy to like add this to our recordings. Like, yeah, it's been super fun to add other folks, content to our network. We love that.
Yeah. No, I think that brings me to why I'm here today. One of the ideas that I had that was sparked by some of the conversation that you had last week about the big conversation right now going around how base took on creator coins, came to Farcaster, left Farcaster, and then Jesse is saying, social is dead. And I don't always agree with you on all your takes, but on the take that you had here, I was in heavy alignment. I really liked what you were saying about the fact that, everything in this decentralized world is tied to social in some way, shape, or form. And I thought there's been a few ideas that I've been thinking about watching Zora evolve over the time that it has and how it has, and then base leveraging Farcaster. That's actually how I got a lot more involved on Farcaster. Was I was in New York for FarCon, and I heard the base was coming over to Farcaster, and I was telling all my friends, I was like, hey, this is kind of another reason why I think Farcaster might be a really good place to check things out. So in all of that, I thought that there's many ways that we as Farcastorians can do creator coins in a different way. I mean, we've seen it with Clanker in many cool, unique ways. And one of the ways I've seen it is by being involved with Empire Builder. And I was always really inspired by Empire Builder because I saw something that was built on top of something else, and both of them being permissionless, right?
Yep.
Empire being a
Love that.
Clanker launch pad, but it adds, you can launch from Clanker or you can launch from Empire, but it adds something else. And I thought it'd be really inspiring after seeing the different things from Empire to be able to build on top of Empire. So I have this
Cool.
idea essentially called Sparks. I'll pull up the GitHub repo here, and I know
Awesome.
you're not much of a coder, Prof, so we're not going to be getting into any of the
She's
code.
not.
The beauty here, and the one thing I want to remind everyone who's a non-technical individual who I'm trying to get to just try vibe coding in some way, shape, or form, try to build something that is a problem for you that you see. And this is a problem I've seen and a lot of creators around me have talked about. And one of the things that I think we can do with the forum that we have on Farcaster is actually, instead of me saying like, I'm going to adopt this idea, like I'm going to make creator coins, right? I'm going to put this open source repo up as a discussion for everyone to kind of come together and help me as I get ready for Clanker V5. And as
Right.
Clanker V5 drops, I'm going to be dropping Sparks alongside it. So
Great.
the goal here is to start with a Spark, not a token. You guys actually had a really great conversation with your Berserker and Divyfly earlier today. We're going to be actually chatting with them as well as Quasia from
Awesome.
the Farcaster team tomorrow at 10 a.m. during a Farcaster space. I know you might be traveling, but
No,
now
I
that they're
actually
recorded,
probably can make that one. Adrian's
amazing.
traveling tomorrow. I actually
Oh,
will be
okay.
around. That's perfect. I will try to be there.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So the goal is to talk more about Clanker V5, why it can be powerful for creators, and then what we can do here. So I think my idea on creator coins and why I think this could be a little bit more successful than it's been in the past, and one of the challenges I've seen is that I always felt like the token was pushed upon me to create. So I think this idea of a
Yeah,
tokenless empire really sparked this idea that this could be possible for you to have an idea, you to create a tokenless empire, you to get it through a bunch of stages along the way of the spark, but it might not ever get to that token stage. You might it might either peter out with energy, or you might not want a token for that use case. And I think that part, and giving that functionality where we use traditional collaborations with tokens to find ways to bring more attention to a token, but bringing those things and that energy together before in a proper plan, and then deciding, is this the right time to launch a token and how are we going to do it? So that
I
kind
love
of
that.
sparked the idea here. You feel free to like jump in wherever. I'm just gonna kind of scroll through some
I
of
love
this, but
just as
yeah, go
the
for it.
concept itself, like I love that because a lot of times you just made a really good point. You felt like the token was being pushed on you. And that was an issue around the content coin meta, was that multiple times, and I said this last week, we had members of, the base team, like when we were talking to them about grants or talking to them about support or things like that, the only option we were being given was launch a token. We'll help you launch it. We'll promote. And it's like, well, we don't want to do that right now. And we don't think that this is, even if we do, we don't think this is necessarily the right platform for us for a lot of reasons. And so that was frustrating. And we just weren't ready. And we still, are not quite there. So I love the idea of like testing the waters for projects, because I think, I've launched a lot of tokens. Most of them have just been fun, like
Yeah,
just like a random thing you see on the timeline and you just like go for it because it's fun. And then there've been other things like that Adrian and I have done, or like Adrian's word a day, that has a like, actual utility to it and things like that. So there's, different reasons you launch tokens. Sometimes it's just a fun meme, and that's fine. And you do that on the fly and you don't think about it. But if you're doing it for a project, you should take some time, because we always joke about what would the token do. That is something that, we got into with DWR multiple times, because people would always ask him about a Farcaster token. And he would say, what would the token do? And he's like, until I have an answer for that, that's good. I'm not launching a token. So I think that's something to always think about. And this to me feels like the going through the process of what would the token do. And I love that.
exactly. No, I think my goal is to teach people, okay, first let's make an empire, then let's make a basic leaderboard, right? What are you going to do with the leaderboard? Let's start with, if you have $25 to spare, make a channel around this concept and put a basic
Right.
leaderboard around people that talk in that channel. And again, you guys had a great conversation today around something that the Empire Builder teams built that can literally just create an empire specifically for that channel.
Yeah,
But once
it's
you
great.
create that channel empire leaderboard, what else can you do? If you are an experienced developer and a coder, you can spin up a small game and create a leaderboard for that, or you can create a leaderboard for something else that you do and pull in all of the data that you're doing. And in an ideal world, that's kind of the path I want to lead different individuals upon before they feel like they've gone through leaderboards. Because one of the cool things about leaderboards is that you can use the pre-created functionality that's there in Empire Builder in the no-code situation. But there is also the tooling there if you have an idea for a project of your own that you want to put as your own leaderboard. You can just mirror that as it's updating into Empire Builder and distribute rewards based on that as well, which is another big reason why I think building on top of Empire is really cool, is that one of the reasons why I feel comfortable launching Sparks in a place where I'm not that comfortable with A, liquidity pools, B, tokenomics overall, and then C, the security on wallets. But the beauty is with Farcasters, I get to use all the other tooling, all the interoperable tooling out there to separate those things aside from the things that I'm building. I'm just building the integration pieces between these things and giving creators the opportunity to see transparently, okay, like if I'm going to be launching the token, then from my no token empire into an empire, I'm going to be giving 20% to the Empire Builder team? What am I getting out of those things? Is that worth it to me? Maybe it's not. Maybe it is, right? Like I believe it is in certain scenarios. But the beauty of the opportunity here is not creating vendor lock. So having the situation where the creator can really have the ability to decentralize their audience, but have full ownership. Because our idea at the ZABAL is always bring the profit margin data, but IP rights back to independent artists. And that's kind of the key here is as soon as you guys go one way, like you felt like you were being pushed to potentially launch a Zora token, we look now a year and a half later at where it is now. And there's a reason you guys chose to not do it. And we're
Exactly.
in that exact scenario, right? Is the vendor lock when that happens. And the beauty of decentralized social, but then also tokens is that it is this like this web of anyone can join. So as soon as you lock yourself into one niche, you're locking yourself out of potential people from the future, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think
Amazing.
you have to think about the different approaches because there are lots. There are lots of
Yeah.
options right now for launching, even within the Clanker ecosystem, there are multiple ways to do that. So if you have to really think through the options, and I would say if you're launching anything with Clanker, I would wait one more week just because V5 is coming and we're going to have different, options there as well. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited to dive more into V5 tomorrow with Quasia.
Yeah, it's
Definitely
great.
watch, if anyone's out there, watch Tiny Rainboot's video
Yeah.
about V5 because I need to go and rewatch that and, just have a
Yeah, that'll
conversation
give
with
you
my
some good
AI about it.
yeah, it'll give you some good questions too, right? So
Exactly.
for tomorrow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, I think the V5 inspired me to not have to worry as much about liquidity pools because the token that I did launch at the beginning of the year for the ZABAL token, we paired with a different token and we had a bunch of issues with liquidity pools,
Mm,
which was its own fun, like learning curve for me.
yeah.
But I'm happy because like people on Farcaster really wanted to help go above and beyond. I mean, Divvyfly, the reason I'm like super gung ho and bullish on Empire Builder is like on New Year's Eve, the day before New Year's Eve, we asked Divvyfly if he could create like a special like portion of the Empire Builder launcher for us, and he spun it out in 24 hours while like we're like a
Wow.
day before New Year's,
He's
and
like such an incredible dev. He really is.
yeah, yeah, so like seeing that, I was like, oh my goodness, with that kind of customer support and service, like
Yeah.
I would love to be more involved. And that's why I've always been like, how can I find ways to add value with Empire Builder? So this is kind of like my pitch, my creation. I would love to create any opportunity for people that are out there that have white label APIs or white label tools that people can permissionlessly use. I want to integrate it into this tooling so that we can bring people here so that they can see what all the amazing people have built. It's kind of why I built this ZABAL Games is I wanted to give people the opportunity to share how a power user would use their app, how they envision the future of a bunch of users using their app. If Farcaster had this scale, everyone keeps on complaining we don't have enough people, we don't have enough people, but there's a lot of people also building towards not only how can I bring more people here, but when people come here, how do I retain them? How do I bring them to what I'm building? How do I keep them here, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Amazing. Yeah, so the concept is a capsule. So you're gonna create a capsule ultimately, and this capsule will just be a culmination of all of your ideas. So that could be the idea for a token or staying tokenless. It could be a repo if you're a builder. It could be a piece of content. It could be all themed around a music drop because I actually really intentionally started this idea all from a musician asking me for support on funding for their next album. And I was like, well, I have this token idea, but like, I don't want to just do it, right? Like, we need to like go all out and experiment because it's not going to work on its first try. So my request, my so like idea here is that in this last few days as we're waiting for the V5 to be ready. Give me all your ideas. Let's churn them all out. Let's get anything possible through and into Sparks before we launch. And then after we launch, using as much of this energy that I can towards how can I create an open source repository with AI, with blockchain, and use these three things together with kind of an AI managing the repository, the channel, and the client. Hopefully, ideally, we're going
Cool.
to be building clients for all of these toolings and create something that's actually sustainable for open source repository support. I think we do all this amazing tipping on Farcaster, but now what if we did that same amount of tipping for people creating PRs on code? And again, while that seems daunting for many people that are non-technical, my goal and my educational piece, and I'm sure a lot of other people on Farcaster would say the same thing, is we would love to teach you how to put your first repo up on GitHub, how to learn what GitHub is, why it's useful for collaborating with individuals on building software.
I think one of my favorite posts of recent casts was the Farcaster intern posting about their first PR on GitHub,
Yes.
and then the comment, please clap. I just did my first PR on GitHub. Please clap. I love
Because
that.
it's huge, because
Yeah.
I'm not like, I am blessed. I got my electro engineering degree. I have a pretty good understanding of computers because of that. I've always like loved computers and like the internet and like all of these interesting things. But I've seen alongside not only my parents but also my peers not be
Yeah.
as technically inclined, and especially working with musicians the last 6 years. Every time I talk about Web3, they're
Sure.
always like roll their eyes, and then never mind Web3, but just like building a website, which is what I've been saying from the
Yeah.
rooftop from the beginning, right? So it's slowly become easier and easier to finally like make that friction easier and easier for helping a musician or anyone else do the entrepreneurial skills that they don't want to do. The entrepreneurs love and want to iterate on, but
Right.
everyone else doesn't. So how can we create tools that support those individuals, but then also don't extract value away? That's the beauty of blockchain, is you can be very transparent with where money is going, how you're getting it, and what you're supporting. And because it's so easy to move money, as soon as you see a better opportunity, you or an AI agent,
Right.
you're going to go to that, right? So that's the incentive conversation, which I'm sure we could talk about for hours, is how do you
Totally.
put in an incentive, take away the incentive, and retain users, which
The
is
best thing,
something no
one of
one
my
solved.
yeah, one of my favorite quotes from Charlie Munger. So that's, Buffett's buddy there. Is show me the incentive, I'll show you the outcome. And I think that's something that like pops in my head all the time, is like looking at the incentives. What is the incentive to use this tool, that tool? Or even just, what's the incentive for me to learn something new? What's going to be the ROI? Things like that, depending on what it is. Sometimes the ROI is just learning something new, and that's perfectly fine. And then other times it's, okay, this can actually improve what I'm doing. It can give me greater productivity. It can, all these different things as we think about AI. And it's really interesting when you're saying that like people your age, or even who are in music, aren't as technically inclined, and you grew up with the internet.
Yeah.
So I come from a world of pre-internet. Like I am
Yeah.
I've lived through it all, literally. But in a point where it wasn't something I learned in school. It wasn't something that was taught. It was something you had to learn yourself through each iteration. And depending on your, technical abilities, you were going to learn it to a certain point. And for me, it was really, I didn't start doing much with creating websites or anything like that until it was no code. I did some early HTML, but those sites were crappy as
the
hell.
the reason I didn't code
Yeah.
was because I hated syntax. I
Yeah.
can remember the moment I like gave up on like wanting to do code was I spent an hour in an EE lab where I could not figure out what the problem was, and all it was a semicolon. There was some
Yeah.
semicolon somewhere that wasn't supposed to be there or was supposed to be there. I don't remember.
It was
And I was
that
like,
stupid.
that was
Yeah.
an
Yeah,
hour. That
totally.
was an hour
Yeah.
of my time just gone. And
Right.
normally I'm the type of person that I'm not like the type of person to be like, I need to do this perfect. I'm like, I need to get this job done and out of here with my extra hour. So I was always frustrated because I always went not only till the end of the lab, but like had to do extra work to like sometimes figure out sometimes the most mundane things where it's just like I knew I was never going to need to know exactly where to put those semicolons. Not because I saw the like the future of AI, but because I was like, I'm not like I love the conceptual part of code, how like
Yeah.
things piece together. But then you asked me to like exact put the like things in the exact spot that it needs to be, and if it doesn't, it's not going to work. That becomes harder. And AI, at least even ChatGPT at the very beginning, solved that challenge for me.
Right.
So
Because
it's
it can
just
be
been
your
like
bug, it can be your debugger, it can be
exactly.
the thing that finds the problem, even if you're, but I still think those who know how to code, even
It
just
makes
a
a big
little bit,
difference.
it's huge difference because you can find things easier, you can figure out how to prompt better. So Adrian can just, prompt
Do
way
you
better than
do
I
you
can.
understand the idea of the console in your browser by any chance?
Yes, I do,
Okay.
but it's not something I'm normally going to even think to use. Do you know what I mean? Because
No, totally.
I'm not a
I get
coder.
it.
I'm not a
No,
coder.
yeah, it's like those small things, and the beautiful thing
Yeah,
is, you just learn from experience. So if you talk to other people
right.
with experience and they teach you their tricks, that's the thing I've learned that's been really great. It was the whole conversation with Adrian. I'm gonna do a stream at some point where I just watch that back because there were specific nuggets that I was like, I know this is important to me. I cannot jump on it right now because I don't have the technical ability to, but I understand what you are saying and the things you are doing are
Yeah.
important workflows to follow. And that's hard sometimes to be like, I understand that there's benefit here, but I don't know how to act on that. And that's
It's
what I
been,
love about
yeah,
Farcasters. You can just ask that.
yeah,
Though, like you
yeah,
can just, and it's way better than a DM to someone, right? Like I could
yeah.
DM someone
If you
and
just
they might not respond.
put it on the timeline and someone's going to answer you. Like
Yeah.
somebody, you know what I mean? Like you can do that, but you can also ask your AI, but sometimes it's better to ask a human because they're going to translate things in a little different way to give you the best and most efficient way to do something. But it's been so fun watching Adrian dive back into coding during the sort of vibe coding era where
I love
she
what
was
you
a
guys are
coder.
doing. I
Yeah,
love like
it's so fun.
everything because it's just the two of you guys. My whole
Yeah,
shtick has always been how can I create the most value with the resources that I have? And I think you guys do that phenomenally between the two of
yeah.
you. You guys do a really good job of doing something that like sometimes other like big brands of 20 plus people doing all of those things, right? And one
It's
person for
almost too
each, right?
much.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's too much.
and while that is, you're using the tools that are out there to keep that capacity at a point versus just like hiring more people, which I think people get
Right.
into the problem of in the entrepreneurship world. And I think we're getting farther and farther away from that. We're going towards the solopreneur world
Exactly.
where everyone's a contractor of someone else. And now you take that same thing and you think about that with everyone's digital twin and AI as a contractor
Yes.
for everyone else. Like the knowledge base that I've created and understand, how much is that monetized worth and how much is my AI agent going to be worth as I build it out? And one of the conversations and questions I'm going to have for you as we get towards the end here is what is the way you want to see a brand AI agent interacting with the Farcaster feed and with people? Are you interested in them acting just like a human, trying things out like mini apps? Do you want them to be this like brand voice where it's like a little bit cleaner, a little bit more like that thing? Again, of course, everyone's going to want their
So
options. But
I
what do you
love
like?
what I've loved over the years is the intern, right? Who's, and usually this has been a human. I think it can be recreated with an AI agent, probably pretty efficiently for those solopreneurs. Is that it is somebody who's a little cheeky. It's a voice that's a little funny, but it's a voice that also replies. It doesn't just dive into top level casts, please look at me, please give me attention. It is a brand that interacts with the other, folks on the timeline. And I think that's really important to brands. And I think a lot of them
I
miss
like that.
that. But sometimes that's where the gold is, and that's where the connection is, and that's what, I think is really important. I think brands for a long time got too inauthentic and
Yeah.
very clean, flashy, shiny. We got to be perfect. And that's a mistake. Be more human.
Agreed.
Is it better to have a human behind there? Yes. But is that practical all the time? No, just isn't. So I think Warpy for us has been a little bit of that in in a certain way. It's not really designed to be super funny, but it has a little bit of a personality. And Adrian was early on hated the personality. She wouldn't call it an agent. She only called it a bot because she's like, it's
Yeah.
dumb. It's just dumb. It doesn't do what, and it took her a long time to get it there. Where now it has a little bit of a personality. It's still a little bit very business like, but it has such a practical purpose of
Hmm.
you can ask it, hey, when did we talk about Zabal games on GM Farcaster? And it will bring you right to
I
the
love that.
timestamp.
Like
It'll bring you to the
those
timestamp
are
on
the
YouTube.
things
Here you
those are the
go.
things that have inspired me as a content
Yeah,
creator to be like, yes, this is what I've been trying to explain to people, that is why we need to be doing these things, but I cannot get the
yeah,
words out because I don't have the resources to create those things. So when I see something like that and I can share that, that's the best thing for me, because it's like this is a perfect use case of what I want to show you guys, right? And I love that,
yeah.
like we've been talking about AI as like this, like, FAQ bot, but like it's way more than what
Way
that
more.
can be.
Yeah,
And it's all in how the user uses it. One of the ideas I kind of just sparked up in our conversation here is, what if we had some way for like the top token holder of the day, or top like contributor of the day, to add like a line of source, like soul code, to like the soul or personality, where it's like, like, okay, like today you said this and this, and we want you to be more like that. But it's like every single day someone new that's a part of the community
that's
can
fun.
add their flavor
Yeah,
to the AI agent. And then it's different, it's evolving over time, but that gives you the reason to then potentially buy the token. Not that, again, that's a good enough reason to just have a token, but it's again another reason to have a tool for
so
you
have
out
you
there.
have you seen the droids, the clanker droids? So they're
Yeah,
still experimental, but this is something I would suggest tomorrow when you're talking to Quasia. Talk to him about the droids and where it's going, not necessarily where they are right now, but
that's where
where
I'm at,
where
because
the
I
potential
heard
is.
that, and that's exactly
Yeah,
what I want to do. Is I want to eventually get it off of my system to whatever they've created for droids. The challenge with droids right now is it isn't like you own the FID, and I think that's a challenge with some of the more
yeah,
privacy minded folks. Which again, I understand. I would just use it, but and then there's no like BYO. Bring your own key of like your token key for
exactly.
API
Yeah,
credits, because that's where I'm gonna go flow, because I'm not taking any profits, right?
yeah.
Like I'm not
I
gonna
think it
be
just
able
depends
to,
on,
yeah.
yeah, it
But
depends on
giving that
what your,
option is,
it also
but
depends
that's
on
my
your
goal. It's
experience
like
level. Yeah,
I think
yeah,
as it gets better, I'm gonna make sure I surface it more as an option in Sparks as the way to
yeah,
do an AI agent, as well as an Eliza agent, OpenClaw or Hermes, giving the options. And honestly, I would love it if brands created one of each and played around with the
yeah.
different pros
See what
of
works
this
best.
type, right? And I don't,
Yeah,
I don't ever see that as a problem. And honestly, the real reason I'm like really attacking this right now more than anything, for anyone who's here and listening, is everyone's complaining that Farcaster is dead, so no one's gonna really complain that we're doing this. B, tokens are dead, right? Like ETH is dead, right, in a different way. And C, the best time to experiment is this time where we're in this like bear
absolutely.
market. So I am just like calling all artists, all creators, all builders, anyone who just like has wanted to experiment with the token and hasn't, or experiment with an idea that's outside of
With
their
agents.
traditional
Yeah,
community, whether that's with agents, with blockchain, or a combination of it all, right? Like if you
yeah,
just want to fund a music project, let's do it. But let's like actually give some energy behind the music project. If you have just your like idea down for the lyrics and you still need a beat, that's fine. We can do that. If you have everything recorded and in a studio and you just need to make a music video, boom, we can do that. But maybe you're closer to making the token, right? So I'm excited to see what we can do.
I
I
think the other
appreciate
thing
the
is
time.
always like
Yeah.
experimenting with all the different types of agents and different like, so I've done droids, I've done Charms AI, I've played around with the characters on Venice AI. And if you're, see what all these different things can do, then you know what's available and you know what works and what doesn't. So try it all out. Try
A
all the
million
different
percent.
ways. And if you're more technically inclined, create your own. Do your own thing.
Oh, I
Create
do
your
have
own
one last
Warpy.
question. Yeah,
Yeah.
that I have as you. How do you see people using AI in posts? Whether
Mm,
that's like to share brand identity and image. Like I personally am the way I'm looking at it and going about it is I'm still working on building my AI brand identity, so I understand it's not the best right now. And I'm okay with that. I have a specific bot to do
yeah.
those posts as I'm learning. And I'm using my personal account as like just me typing.
To
But I'm
experiment.
seeing
Yeah.
like people do combos of both. And I'm curious what you think of like seeing that emergence of people using AI in their replies and just like on Farcaster more.
I think it's helpful, but I think you have to be careful and it has to be authentic to you. And it really depends. Are you a brand? Are you a person? I think for the humans who are just casting, I'd say stay away from it. I think from a project perspective, sometimes it's helpful, especially when you're trying to do content quickly. When we do our show notes, I've been using chat for, a couple of years to do our show notes and to do our summaries. So they, I throw the transcript in, give me, create show notes. I've already got the project all built. It does, a 2 sentence summary. It does a TLDR. It gives me ideas for a title, but then I edit everything. So if something isn't right, I go back and forth with it. It's taken a while to get it to a point where I don't have to do that as much, but I still catch things that aren't quite right. Or, give me 5 ideas for a title. Nah, none of these work. Do rework it this way, or you're missing, you didn't really look at the second half of the transcript or whatever it is.
Yeah,
So I think you have to work with your AI to get it to where it makes sense for you. With the droids, the Clanker droids they've been experimenting with, you can have it give you a suggestion of a cast, but you're still able to control whether or not that cast goes out to the world. So it gives you a draft and
that's
then
cool.
you can edit, you can choose not to send it, you can say no, give me something else. So there's a little bit of human oversight, and I think that's important at this point. When you let it kind of run free, a lot of times it just doesn't hit the same because you can tell that there's an inauthenticity to it. So I think
Totally.
that's something you have to be careful with, especially as you're building a new brand. I think and it's also a matter of tweaking it. And sometimes you can get it to a point where, okay, now this is good. It can fly a little bit on its own, but you still have to give it some oversight because it's going to be times where we all know it does things that are just wrong. It
Yeah.
gets things completely wrong. So it depends on is it giving
How
facts
quick
or
are
is it
you to
just
be able
giving
to edit it as
personality?
well, right? Like
Yeah,
I think that's
exactly.
a big part of the AI world and something I watch
Yeah,
where and like if I see a Discord and I see a spam message from a day ago, like I
yeah,
immediately am like, I am not spending time in this Discord because I don't
right.
like I like one day of like spam message is a long time in this world. So small things like that I think can always give you those like feelings and green flags and red flags. And I liked how you said some of those like you can slowly over time start to trust it on its own, but you have to
Right.
work on the pipeline. And that's the key more than anything is how do I improve my pipeline every single
Exactly.
time I go through it? Am I just copying and pasting a prompt through and taking it at its word? Or am I looking at how I can improve the next time
Right.
I do prompt it through? And I think that's a big part that not a lot of people have gotten to yet, where
I mean,
they're looking
it's
for
probably
prompt
taken
answer, right?
2 years or maybe at
Yeah.
least a year and a half to get our show notes where I don't have to reprompt multiple times. Like it's taken a long time. It wasn't overnight. And there was a long time where I would just like you could go back into my chat history and it's like I'm yelling at it. Like, no, you're being stupid. What are you doing? That was yesterday's show notes. I don't even know what you're talking about. It
Yeah.
just was getting things completely wrong.
I've had those
Yeah.
many moments with the talking
Yeah.
about the code, right? And it's like
Yeah.
we've talked about this before,
What do you
Chief. Like,
know?
come on, go back.
It's like I'm
But
yelling at my computer. What am I doing right now? But at the same rate, it's like sometimes you have to have that tough love with your AI, and get
well,
it
I
to a
think
point
that
where
also is
it
like
doesn't know what it's doing.
sometimes there's two parts of like the community, and this is where like you can really see like the difference in Farcaster Next of like there's the I have this issue, I'm requesting for help on this issue, someone more experienced than me is going to come and support me on that issue and give me like what I need and more. And then there's like the pull the ladder up culture of like I struggled through this, you're going to have to struggle through this. And I
Yeah.
think one of the really cool things about something like AI coding is I have a file, a repo that's just called dot Claude, I think, or dot files maybe, which is like my version of anything that I'm learning over time. I'm trying to put into one
Great.
repo so that people that come after me can grab things from that repo and tell their AI to grab things from that repo, not make the same mistakes, right?
Right.
Because there's
Right.
like things that I've struggled through that I know like another person would take 100 hours maybe to debug it. It might have taken me 1 hour. So it's like, how can we save time in the future along the way for people that come up? And this is why I love open source tooling. This is why I'm really
Yeah.
excited about Farcaster is like I can the reason I just like very heavy vibe on the coding side. Like I am doing the not looking at my results to like the nth degree. I am using my community to help me bug test. That's my
Mhm.
way of playing around because I don't have a big company or a big profile where like I have these challenges of like a ton of people are going to see or are on a bunch of production commits of my thing. I have the ability to be agile right now. So I'm going to build a bunch of these composable tools that might not be perfect right now, but I've gone back to a tool I created 3 months ago, 6 months ago, or a year ago, put it through the new models and immediately
It's
got what
great.
I was looking for. So
Great. Yeah.
I'm excited
It's
for a
constantly
musician.
changing. Yeah, it's constantly changing.
It,
You have to
it's
keep
so
trying the new
crazy.
thing. You got to keep trying the new thing. I think that's why I really like Venice AI too, is that you've got all
I
those
need to
different
try Venice
models.
AI.
It's got all the models built in, so you
Yeah,
can
I need to
choose
try.
different options and kind of hit them all and see where you're getting the best, the best things. So, yeah, I highly recommend checking it out. And if you have the VVV token, you can stake it and then get the pro access and all that kind of stuff. So, um, it's really cool, but it even has free versions if you don't have the VVV. So there's lots of, but what I like about it is that's this one place with multiple models that you can experiment with and figure out,
Yeah,
okay, what's giving me the best results, and then you could, even go use that, straight up, but you also still have it through this opportunity. So yeah,
a
I'd say go
million
check that out.
percent. I
Yeah.
love it. Well, I appreciate the time, Nounish. I
Yeah,
will
it's been fun.
definitely, yeah, I appreciate like the thoughts. I'm very excited to see like where we as a community go here the second half of 2026. One thing I will put out there is it'd be really cool to do FarCon in 2027 Buenos Aires. I'll always put that out there and continue
I'm just gonna
pushing it
say
out. Is
that's
that too
not gonna
far
be
for
a
you?
place. That's not gonna be a place I'm gonna go. But I think we can have multiple Farcons.
I
And
think
I
that would be
think
really
that's
cool.
probably, the way things are gonna go. I am definitely gonna lean towards something in the US the next time, but at the same rate, I think having two at the same time would be perfectly fine as well. Um, I liked the smaller, Rome Farcon. It was amazing. But it's probably, I don't see myself going to Buenos Aires for the next one. So, but we'll see. We'll see what
That's
happens.
fair. I can
We'll see what
understand that.
happens. But if it,
Um,
it's not up to me. It's not up to me. It's not my choice. If it's whoever takes it on and makes it happen, and if the community's behind it, then that's where it's going to be, and that's when it's, where it's going to happen. So, we'll see what
yeah,
happens.
one of the many other cool
We got
things about
time. Usually
Farcaster.
people don't even start like really thinking about it till, October, November, and then it really doesn't get planning until January. So we got time. We got time. I got to tell you, we had a little conversation with Flannel Donut and their new space in Portland, and
I do want to go out there.
I'm going to be rooting for that one because
I'm
that
okay
space
with
looks to be
Portland.
amazing.
I lived in Portland for
Yeah.
2 years. Like I would love to go back, especially for a FarCon.
I've
Like
never been.
so,
Yeah, so
uh,
I'd like,
well,
I'm kind
PDX,
of,
it's a great
I think they
spot.
have a really cool space. They're going to be doing like all kinds of artistic, creative things within that studio space there. So I think the artists it would really appeal to them. But at the same rate, we've got a lot of folks who are in, South America. We've got a lot of folks who are in Europe, and that might be a better fit for them. Again, I don't think it has to be just in one place. So
It'd be cool to
lots of
have a couple.
opportunities. Yeah,
Yeah,
why
yeah,
not? Why not?
awesome. Well, with that, we'll pop off here for
All
today.
right.
Appreciate. I saw Push popped in. Appreciate you
Hey,
pulling up,
Push.
saying hi, and anyone else who listens back to this. So have a
Yeah.
great rest of your guys' day, and we'll catch y'all
Bye,
soon.
everybody. See ya.
Cheers.